Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, what a treat. I get to hang out with my friend, Melissa Cynova, once again. I know you've seen me talk to her before because she is just that amazing. She is that fabulous. She's got a ton of planets in Sagittarius, as you will soon see. The very, very big news is that this world-renowned tarot expert, the Kitchen Table Tarot books are hers. So she truly is widely recognized around the world. Well, she's coming to Synchronicity University this November 2021 to teach a 5-part course. It's going to take you through the wonderful tarot without, as she said, going up your ass or something like that. She said, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. I do have 2 planets in Capricorn. I'm supposed to be more respectable than that. But okay, that's all, whatever it is. I do have 2 planets in Sag, so I'm right there with you. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about this incredible course. It is for a very limited time, available for as low as just $5 a class with choose your tuition rate at synchronicityuniversity.com. Melissa Cynova, welcome.
Wait. What's up?
I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so happy that you're here. You know, you're one of my very favorite people to talk to on camera, but even off camera. I mean, we love talking to each other.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier, I don't know you that well, but I know you. You know, I know you. Like, we're right here. And I'm excited about this class because Revisiting Kitchen Table Tarot is my first book. And it first was a blog that I wrote for my friend Suzanne, who was in Canada. And back then, we're talking like 15 years ago, it was so expensive to call Canada and we didn't have Skype or anything. So I just did a WordPress blog. And then like a couple months into it, I checked and I had 4,000 followers. And I was like, wait, what? I wrote this for Susie. And then, I just kept building it and eventually it became the book. So, but, as you know, tarot grows and we grow with it. And so there are huge parts of the book that I would be like, the hell were you thinking, girls? Like, scritch. And so in revisiting it during this class, I'm like, it's kind of making me fall in love with tarot all over again from a beginner level, because there's so many new tricks that I know and so many new little, like, the magician's belt is a snake. Do you know why it's a snake? It's eating its own tail. Like, all of that stuff that gets, you discover throughout the years of tarot. Like, I think this class is going to be really rad. I'm really excited. Well,
I know how popular you were. We were part of the Tarot Summer School program that took place over the summer in 2021. That's how we first met. And I know how popular you were. I know just from hearing you and participating in these different sessions there, just seeing this knack you had, like this incredible ability you had to make tarot really accessible, but also to be really entertaining. Let me say that. You're fun. You are fun to learn from.
Thank you. I am, my family, I was raised by my father and like 5 Polish uncles. So I think that is the cause of the sense of humor. And like, tarot being inaccessible is a problem that I found because when I started reading, how many books did I have to choose from? Like 3. And most of them were written that were accessible, right? Because it's not in a library in a small town in the middle of Missouri. I'll tell you that. So I had to read Eden Gray, and she was just, her language is about 100 years old. And the ideas that she used were so arcane that I had to read them with a dictionary to figure out what the fuck she was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So and then I found Rachel Pollack and Mary Greer, and those 2 women were the ones who spoke my language. I could understand them. It's more academic and scholarly, but it was at least contemporary. And then I think I just blew the doors off of academic because I'm like, what I want from my students is that you pick up the cards and you can read them that day. I want you to get your new deck and use the book and read your cards, because the more time that comes between finding your deck and reading it, that's where the anxiety steps in. And I don't know if I could do this. And I have to memorize all of these. And here's my book going, no, don't fucking do that. That's a terrible idea. You'll never pick up your deck and use it. It's a tool, So really the accessibility is so that people can grab their tools faster, and yeah, it works too. So it's pretty cool. And then you can like layer in, Mary Greer and Benabel Wen and the more academic leans, but I mean, use your tool. Just put it in your hand. That's the best way to learn, I think. So, yeah.
And having that relationship with your deck is so important as well. It's interesting you mentioned Pollock, because I remember it must have been almost 20 years ago now. I went through this phase where I was really into her books. Like I really liked it. And I learned so much about tarot and the different things as well through her books. And she was just so accessible. Like you said, the language was really accessible. Across one of the books, someone's books along the way, I remember reading that you've got to create that energetic connection with your tarot, choose a deck that speaks to you, but then also like sleep with your deck and like really forge that bond with your deck so that, well, I think I actually licked every card in my first tarot deck, if I'm really honest. I was like, let me really get my energy in there.
I really want my energy on this. You know, that's how you get hepatitis, you know, so just
by licking tarot cards. Yeah. Don't try this at home, kids. Don't do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I understand that idea. And I understand like a lot of these traditions are because they were held sacred. And I'm not one to like, okay, I am one to make fun of sacred shit. Let's be honest. But I don't like picking on people, but I do think that, you know, sacred things change. It's the Tom Robbins quote. I believe that nothing is sacred. I believe in nothing. Everything is sacred. I believe in everything. Nothing is sacred. And I think that if you hold yourself to committing to an idea that never changes, never shifts, we're not talking about tarot anymore. Tarot is a kinetic form of divination. And if it doesn't grow and doesn't shift, then we're stuck looking at a bunch of old white people, you know, from the 1400s who've never evolved, who we still have jesters. Is that a job opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Like the popess would still be there instead of the high priestess, and that pagan bent wouldn't be there. So we have to move on. We have to grow. And I think that allowing the skeleton of tarot to stay as it is, you know, wands mean this, the emperor means this. And then building different bodies around that skeleton, man, that's the beauty of what we do, right? Because we can make it look like us. We can make it look like whoever we want it to. We make it sound like us. Make it feel like us. You know, that's the beauty of it. That's where all the art comes from and the artistry. You can tell I am passionate about it.
I love it. I love it. That is so beautiful. Yes, because isn't it that whatever is sacred evolves along with our understanding of ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, and this is a deeply personal thing, but it's also something that we go through collectively as humanity, like our understanding of ourselves and our agency and our power. I mean, it goes through these leaps. And I think about it from the lens of astrology, but really it can apply to anything. We understand the sky so much more expansively, the more we see ourselves more expansively. And I can see how that would so be true for the tarot as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the way that I look at it is like, I grew up Catholic and I was always very attracted to Mary, if people aren't Catholics, Jesus's mom. And I was always very attracted to her. And then I left the church and I left Mary too, but I kept seeing her show up in the Mists of Avalon. There's a book where she's described as the goddess with a different, the goddess with a different name. And then I saw her following me all through, as I became pagan and then a witch. And, I have Mary on my altar right now, and I'll be damned if it's not the same Mary that I grew up staring at when I was a little girl. So, regardless of what she's wearing or what she's called, she's still Mary, regardless of what your stars are called or who is interpreting them through which lens, they're still your stars, Mm-hmm. And as long as we have that mainstay, as long as we have what is cemented, then the rest of it we can just fucking play with, can't we? It's amazing. It's amazing.
I know. I think it's going to be so much fun to learn from you. I mean, I love hanging out with you. I think it's so much fun just hanging out with you on camera, or maybe off camera too. It must be pretty exciting, but it is so much fun to work with you as well, and to see how it is that we continue to understand the tarot differently from your very fun and salty approach. I love that.
Salty? What? How dare you?
I know, you and me, the Sag energy, right? We share that. I love that about you. And so let's give people a little bit of an example. Like, what's one of your, I don't know if you play favorites, but do you have a favorite tarot card and why do you like it?
I like the star.
Me too. I wanted you to say the star.
Because it's grace. And don't we all need grace? Like, yes. I can't read it upside down. I read the rest of my cards reversed, but if the star comes up, I just flip it the way she's supposed to be. Because when I envision it, tarot to me is like a movie, you know, and we go through the tower, and what happens when a tower collapses? We're covered in bricks and dust, and you can't really tell which direction anything is because all of your landmarks are covered and your eyes are just weeping and you're trying to clear your face and everything is scary. And then someone comes and puts her hand on your arm and offers you a cool drink of water. Tell me how that could possibly be bad, you know, or left it, or, you know, sideways or inappropriate. Like, the star is always right side up because she's the grace that we all need. She's the one who tells us it's not that blinding, holy shit happy of the sun. And it's not the be cautious, this light is reflected of the moon. It's a warm, steady, I will be here for you as long as the skies allow me. I will be here for you as long as you need me. Grace. And that's just beautiful. We need that. It's important, especially now, you know, it's so important. So yeah, she resonates.
Yeah. Isn't that very profound and beautiful? I think about the symbolism, and I guess each one of us is going to see the cards differently, right? Based on our own relationship to the different symbols that show up. And we're going to be attracted to different decks based on that as well. Mm-hmm. I always saw the water as consciousness, but it's incredible. I love that you've made me think about the water as grace in the star card. That's a
and isn't way of our consciousness? Wow. Our consciousness is truly trying to get us to grace. That's its job, right? So our conscious self is sorting through life and all of the shit that it's handed and trying to dig through and find something beautiful so we can wake up tomorrow, you know? So it's a pathway. Our consciousness is a pathway to grace. It's how you come at the card and how it reflects the cards around it. You know, that's why everybody, as long as they have that skeleton, your understanding of the card is just as valid and beautiful as mine, because it's our reading and we get to decide what that card means to us. And like, I have one of my friends was reading, and I wrote like this, for some reason, I went on for like 3 pages about the 5 of Cups, you know, in my book. And I was like, you know, this is the card of yester you, and it's about dreams that you finally have to put to death. And it's very painful. And like, I'm going on. And don't forget the 2 cards that are standing, because that's your present and your future. And I just really meant all of it. Like, it was really poignant. And then I was watching one of my friends teach, and they were like, get what you need and leave the rest of your shit behind. It's like absolutely accurate, right? It's 100% true, but it's so very different than me waxing poetic and her going, just grab the cups that are full, quit crying, and get on with your day. And I'm like, you know.
Wow, I love that. But it's interesting that it was the 5 of Cups that inspired you to write so much about it. I mean, that could say something as well, your own exploration into that. But I guess there's always a more succinct way to explore just about any symbol. Yeah.
She nailed it.
Yeah. And so give me an example of another card, because I'd love to, you know, pick your brain a little bit. Like, what cards do you like? It's so revealing. So now, so far, I've learned that your favorite card is the star card. It's like a cool drink of water. It's grace. I've learned that you can write pages on the 5 of Cups, which says a whole lot. Yeah, pages and pages on the 5 of Cups. What other card could you tell us about?
It's so funny. There was this story. The first conference I taught at, I was feeling pretty cocky. It was like it was NEWT's, Northwest Hero Symposium. And I was teaching, and I was sitting with my friends, and I may have been drinking some whiskey. And my friend got a new deck, and I'm like, just give me one card. I'm so good at this shit. I could do a tarot reading with just the 3s. I'm so good at it. I literally just need 4 cards and I could tell you your whole life. And I was going on, or just the 2s, on and on and on about how great a tarot reader I was. So the next day she came to me panicked because the person who was supposed to teach about the Empress hadn't showed up. She was gone. And they're like, the class starts in 5 minutes. And Empress is the 2, right? It's the 2 card. And she goes, Melissa, you said you could go on and on about the twos. Let's see it. So I did. And I went, no, it's the high priestess, right. So I went and I'm teaching, like I taught for an hour and a half, just like this, and just going on and on about the card that I know so well, which is also, the high priestess is also the card for psychics and tarot readers and know-it-alls. And
I love it. I never heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you think about like the high priestess sitting at the river, what an ego she must have serving all these idiots who come to her and say, here's my question. And then she decides whether or not she gets the answer, whether or not they get to hear it, you know, whether or not they deserve it in a riddle. Like if we're in the olden days, right, people would buy us houses, you know, people in the village would bring us food to make sure that the wise women of the village were protected. They ain't buying you no house today. You know what I'm saying? Like, so our job as high priestess is for when they find us to make sure their questions are appropriate, to make sure that we're pointing them, ma'am.
Hello, little one. No, it's all good. Let me have a look. Hello. Is someone there?
That's Libby. Probably.
Hello, Libby. I love these little outtakes that'll probably stay in the video.
Yeah, she's 13. And she's crotchety.
Little Libby. Yeah.
Come on, George. Are you coming? George is not coming. All right. But yeah, so the high priestess is us. That's your job, you know, as a seeker. And that's my job as a tarot reader. And, you know, she lends herself to us, but we have to you have to study. You can't half-ass being a seeker, you know? So yeah, it's.
Wow. You can't half-ass being a speaker.
You can't.
A seeker. Not, I said
you have
speaker,
to whole ass it.
Seeker. You have to whole ass it. But aren't there times when you just like being a seeker, it just feels like a lot?
Dude, I just took the month off. I'm not doing any readings for October at all. Like none. And I don't think I've ever done that before, but I'm just tired. And I have I would rather spend my favorite month cuddled up with my kids and carving pumpkins and restoring myself for, you know, the readings in November because I'm tired. And I think it's really important to honor that. So if I were to go to the high priestess right now, she would tell me to go sit my ass down and have some tea. So I am.
That's the way to seek. The way you seek. You may not be able to take a day off from being a seeker, but the way that you go about seeking can change dramatically month to month or, you know, time of life to time of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also change the roles that you have. Like I'm in the next month, I have 5 tarot books to read. You know, and a stupid astrology book because space math is not my jam, but I'm trying to learn. So one of my friends challenged me to write kitchen table astrology. And I was like, that's going to be a long time coming. So
I think you would be so good at it. I know you always call it space math on your Instagram. Yeah.
I know. I'm just because it's fascinating to me. Someone can look at the time that you were born and people when they look at my chart, the first thing they say is, holy shit. And the second thing is, are you going to be a cult leader or are you going to be like Oprah? And I'm like, both. I'm going to be both.
Yeah. Right.
Because I have 7 planets in my 10th house of Sagittarius.
Yes.
Or whatever
what I love about you. I love that about you. I love that because, you know, I have a Sag moon, I have Neptune in Sag. And so it's we just connect on that level.
Yeah.
Wonderfully.
For sure.
Yeah. You bring the salty out of me. I love it. I get to really
That's
no
amazing.
holds barred. I get to swear, but on camera, that's a little bit. Yeah, I try not to. 2 planets in Capricorn still. So
yeah, I know. Hospital corners. It'll be all right.
And so, what else can you tell us about this course? Because I know that there's 5 weeks that you're going to be teaching.
Yeah.
And you're going to be touching on different things at each class, but it is really thorough. It should be something that people can take and right away they're reading tarot cards.
The way that I split it up is in a way that I teach in person when I teach my classes. And the first thing I teach are the suits, because I feel like there's a whole language in the suits that if you learn that very simple language, wands are fire. Fire means action. Swords are air. Air means your mental self. If you can learn 3 or 4 facts about each suit, that makes every single reading that you do easier. So I have a list of stuff that we're going to be talking about, We're going to be talking about looking at the character's feet. We're going to be talking about how they're sitting and how they're facing. Like the suits is not just the 4 things. It's really looking at the cards piecemeal so you can better read them as a whole. And so I'm going to be breaking down all of those. And then the major arcana, which is like, you know, and I always tell people this because they don't put the 2 things together often. If you have a deck of playing cards, the major arcana is missing. That's what makes it playing cards and not tarot. So if they can align playing cards with the minor arcana, they already know what that looks like. So that's like a huge step forward in learning what the cards mean. Then we talk about the minor arcana and I break the suits up. So we talk about the grounding of the pentacles and then like the blessings of the cups. And then we talk about, you know, the action of the wands and the foresight of the swords. So, and I wanted to break those up because I see pentacles and cups as being and wands and swords as doing. And so those sort themselves according to my brain. And then I think the scariest thing in the world is literally sitting down with a tarot deck and reading for yourself. Because what if I do it wrong? What if I don't ask the question right? Can I ask again if I didn't get the answer I like? I mean,
exactly.
You can.
You can?
Yeah, you can, but your cards are going to be like, all right, bitch, what is a different way I can tell you the same fucking thing? Then they just keep doing it. Right. Yeah. After a minute, your tarot cards will just, I had one, I was like, because I wanted this girl that I was seeing. And I was like, I know she likes me. I know that I like her. I'm just going to ask you again. And it was like, no. And I'm like, no, seriously. I'm just going to ask again. No. And then I laid him out again. It was literally all wands upside down. And it looked like a bunch of fingers like this. No, you can't have this. Stop asking. We're done. So literally every action card was upside down going, no, we said what we said. And I'm like, wow, push the cards away. Don't worry about it. So yeah, you can't keep asking the same question. Guess what's going to happen?
But sometimes also what I found is that the cards do show up, like they do. They're trying to tell you something, but because of the answer you want, you are understanding it differently. And that can absolutely happen. I have seen that happen in my own life, actually, where I've done readings where I've been like, okay, what's going on with dude? What am I going to see, dude? And the cards are, being very straightforward, but I'm like, oh, I'm going to see him next week. Oh, I'm going to see him on a 5. And
the cards are like, girl, no, that's not what I said.
Like, exactly.
I had this one where I was like, I thought I was smarter than my tarot deck. I don't know why, but I tried to come at it. I was like, oh, the tower, that must look like every obstacle is going to be knocked out of my way. So I should go ahead and do this. And that was my justification for doing it anyway. And of course I got my ass handed to me. And nothing was cleared on my way. And it was an absolute power moment. But that moment I remember so clearly of going, oh, this must mean that all the obstacles would be out of my way. No, that's not what that means, Cynova. Knock it off.
Yeah.
So
isn't that interesting? In that way, maybe it's a little more straightforward to read for others than it is to read for ourselves, would you say, because of our own attachment?
I certainly think it can be. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm not attached. Like, I like you and everything, but if I give you a reading, I'm not attached to the result. And if I am, I'm not a very good tarot reader yet. So it's very important to separate yourself from the readings that you give to other people, which is easier than separating yourself from the readings you give to yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of the things that I teach people is that you're going to write down the cards that you pull, and then you're going to write the story that they tell, and then you're going to apply it to your life. So we put 2 steps in between the 2 things so that you don't look at the tower and go, this is a fabulous idea. I can't believe I have done this before. And instead you'll go, that's a terrible idea. I should not do it.
I know. I've been there. I remember seeing like all these, I know all of us, those of us who have explored tarot, we've all had that experience where there's something we really wanted and the cards are saying, no, hell no, this is dead. Like literally 10 of swords. This is dead.
Right. Literally a guy bleeding on the ground.
I know, right?
And we're like, we can do it. Let's just hustle.
I know, right?
There's no hustling past a sword in your neck. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to stay put.
I know, but then how do we empower people with tarot? Like what, like when you see something like that and you see somebody, I know for me, it's been very hard reading for people that I love or that I care about.
Yeah.
And it's also hard sometimes to like, when someone says, hey, can you give me some insight into this? And they ask the question and I look at the chart and I go, oh boy, I don't want to say this to them. I don't want to tell them this. So then what do you do to then at least be able to say something to them that's going to give them hope?
Well,
like, do you pull another card? How can I have hope? How can I give this person hope or something like that?
One of the things I do, first of all, I use my no and use it as a complete sentence a lot. So a lot of people who are like, oh my God, can you pull a card for me? I'm like, no. And mostly because I'm a professional and this pays my bills. So no, I'm not going to practice on you for free because I don't need to practice. So, but that aside, if I'm reading for a friend or if it's in a reading that's booked with me and the person has paid for my time, then I'm very happy to say, this is really dire as fuck. You are going through some serious stuff right now. I'm going to pull some cards to look at 3 months down the road. And then oftentimes in 3 months, we have a very different picture or there's a lightening, because I did a reading for a guy and he lost his mom and his sister to COVID. And then he lost his job and like everything just fell away. Right. So I looked 3 months in the future to him and it still sucks, but it sucks with sprinkles. Like it's going to be okay. He doesn't have any more trauma coming his way. He's going to have time to grieve. Like that's one of the biggest things I see in my clients right now is they're not afforded time to grieve and it's fucking destroying them. It's so awful. So my reading for him was, you will have time to grieve. Here are some ways that you can do it in a ritualistic way so that it feels sacred, or here's some funeral rites, or here's, he was a Buddhist. So I helped him find some chants that he could do and things like that. So it wasn't sunshine and roses. It was the star, and I was just very gently saying, it's not going to be as awful as it is now. And sometimes that's all they need to hear. That's all they need to hear is that it will get better just a little, so I don't put the pressure on myself or my client to grab onto everything is going to be great, but I will walk with them to okay. And we can sit there and I'll hold space for them there.
Wow. That's so powerful. Have you ever felt like you've looked at a card and you said, I really shouldn't say this, or do you just let it all hang out? Do you just say it?
I'm actually getting better about shutting the fuck up because I would do a reading and I would be like, oh, dude, this is not good. And then I started seeing the faces.
I can imagine you doing that. I can literally imagine you going, oh, dude, this ain't
me
good.
In my 20s going, oh no, run, bitch. Like it was... Tactful is not the word. So, but what I do now is I kind of take a beat and I listen to where they're at. If they're in a jokey kind of playful mood and we're talking about serious stuff, I will fuck with them and I will make them laugh. But I will be like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. And let me tell you why, and it'll be more of a conversational thing. But if I can feel that they're this far from snapping, I just take it really slow. I will tell them, I'm going to tell them what's going on, yes, he is cheating on you. No, you can't fix it, but it will be delivered in such a way that they can hear it. You know what I mean? And it's not fun. I cry, they cry, we cry. Sometimes I say, you know what? Our reading is done for right now. Here's a coupon code, right? Schedule with me when you process this and we'll do the rest of your reading, So it's on a very humane, conversational kind of way because you can't tell somebody they're going to get a divorce and be like, okay, anyway, so work. Let's talk about work. At least I can't. So, I've broken them up because it's just, it seems more human that way. And it seems more less I'm going to give you a reading and here's all the stuff and write it all down and buy. And if you call me again, it's going to cost the exact same, though you don't know what to do with the shit I just gave you because it was too big. Bye. That just, it doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm changing. And it did for a long time, but every professional energy worker and light worker has to decide who they are right then and how they evolve just then, and it should change at least every 5 years, or what the fuck are you doing? Like, I went and stalked you. Your evolution has been astounding. I think it's amazing. I watched all of your stuff, not all of it because I have a job, but I watched a lot of your stuff over the years, and your evolution into being like a curious seeker who kind of follows things into this grounded person who draws things towards her has been really amazing. So
thank you. I related to what you said earlier, where you said that if you haven't grown over a period of a certain amount of years, then what are you doing? Right. Yeah. And really, I related to that because the more you do anything, the better you get at it. But what it means to be better is so personal. There's better as a reader. There's better in your skills. There's better technically. There's better also in terms of just self-trust. Just being in yourself. Like, I like to use this phrase, like when a woman owns herself, right? Is in possession of herself. It is a very incredible thing to be around a person like that. And I think that's part of what maybe we're here to do, like almost like unlearn a lot of stuff and just in ourselves more fully. That's what I think shows more and more. Like, that's what makes a person become a better reader more than anything. Yeah. Just being more present with themselves.
I remember so well every reading I would do, and I mean every reading. And I would tell my husband, I would drive off to do a party, and I'm like, I'm going to forget how to do it. It's going to suck, and everyone's going to hate me, and they're going to kick me out and say I'm terrible. I don't remember when I stopped doing it, but it couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years ago. And I've been reading tarot cards for 33 years, 34. And I still, I literally can't remember when I stopped, but it was when I started feeling better about myself. And when I started becoming a student again and reading like the Tarot 101 books that I get sent and really re-educating myself on my cards. So, but before then I was grounded in, holy shit, I hope this works. And now I'm grounded in, of course I'm good at this. I've been doing it for too long not to be. And I'm still educating myself. So I feel confident in saying, yeah, I'm a master at this. I am really, really good at this, but I'm still learning, and I still have a lot to learn from my students. And it doesn't really mean that, you're a master astrologer. I've read your shit and I've read what people said about you. And I think it's good for us as women, especially Indigenous women, Native American over here, assuming over there.
South Asian
there you
over here, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that, especially women who are business owners, we need to ground ourselves and say, you're goddamn right, I'm a master at this, and taking it as an assumption that of course we know what we're doing instead of hedging around it and just kind of flirting with the idea. And that's why one of the reasons I wanted to do the Synchronicity University with you, because I know your reputation, and I'm like, I can stand with her.
I love you.
No problem.
Oh. Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm so excited that you are coming to my school to teach. I just, you really are one of the great and best reasons why I started really expanding my school, is to bring these incredibly brilliant teachers to my school and make it really accessible for people with choose your tuition rate, and to just be able to hang out with you. I gotta say, it's pretty cool too. That is the big, wonderful cherry on top. I just adore you. I think you're brilliant. I love you.
I'm just going to take it all in. Sagittarius, yes. Gimme. I love you too. Thank you.
Oh, Melissa, thank you so much for being here. Once again, you guys remember synchronicityuniversity.com for a limited time, very limited time from the time we're recording this. Choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. Thank you again, Melissa. I love you.
I am honored to be hanging out with you, sis. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody out there, for watching. And until we connect again, take care. Bye.